an introduction, or I guess everybody?
No, I can introduce myself.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Sal. I'm the Vice President for Health and Wellness for the Lee Memorial Health System. And Sarah Mitchell is here. Sarah's our lifestyle coach, and we're going to be discussing a few things. A lot of what you're going to hear today has to do with diseases that affect you because of lifestyle and things that you can do to reverse those risks. And Sarah's going to concentrate a lot on stress management and time management, which I think is really important because it's very hard to stay physically healthy if you're not emotionally healthy. So we'll focus on those things. Now, my presentation is actually usually goes for at least an hour, so I'm going to blow through some of the slides, but if you want me to stop at any point, just ask me to stop. And a lot of the information, as what you can see here on the title, has to do with how we live and the diseases that we get. And then again, how we live and how healthy we can be. So these are the objectives as far as just understanding the role of nutrition, being able to identify food products that contribute to diseases, and the diseases that we all see every day, the common things, cardiovascular disease, high blood pressure, heart disease, all of the major cancers, and then ways that you can actually prevent these things from happening and to develop a nutrition program that will avoid most of those problems. It's estimated that 30 to 40% of the common cancers are really related to lifestyle, and nutrition obviously is a big part of our lifestyle, and these things really can be prevented. And we have tons of research data. If you question this for even 1 second, and Dr. Oram was at the conference with us this weekend, and there were probably about 300 people there that attended, and just every presenter just presented more and more research that really shows that lifestyle and specifically what we eat makes such a big difference in what happens to you as you get older. So when we really look at the facts, it's very clear and very simple. And I'll really just simplify it, in my mind, when you eat animal products, you get a lot of diseases and a lot of cancers. When you eat a plant-based diet, you don't get all of those things. And the research was just overwhelming. I mean, there were people there that were presenting data that goes back 20 years that really shows a consistent approach there. And if one of your goals is to lose weight or to not have a risk for diabetes, I mean, you really should seriously think about this type of a lifestyle. And one of the presenters really made a really strong point for think about what you can eat to be healthy and not think about what you can't eat. Because when you think about it that way, it's a real positive. I can eat things that will keep me healthy, will help me to attain a weight goal that I might be looking at, but even more importantly, avoiding all of these chronic medical problems and cancers. So every story has a villain, and every story has a solution to these problems. And these are the villains that I think that we really need to look at. All animal products, all processed meats, processed foods. Sugar is a major problem in the diet today. When you look at the chronic illnesses that we see today, most of those diseases were not around 100 years ago. And it really relates to how we live today in relation to nutrition and exercise. Chicken and pork, those are other meat products. A lot of people think that if their doctor tells them to stay on a low-fat diet and they switch from beef to chicken, that they're eating low-fat. But the reality is there's about 29% fat in beef, and there's about 23 or 24% fat in chicken. And even if that's skinless chicken. So chicken is not a low-fat meal, and that's why we include it on there. And farmed-raised fish is a problem. If you want to eat fish, usually the recommendation is 2 or 3 times a week, not more than that because of mercury toxicity, because there's a lot of mercury in fish, and farm-raised fish is a problem. So you really want to try and eat wild fish if you can. So we all know that grapes are healthy, right? And wine is supposed to be healthy, and usually 1 or 2 drinks a day is okay. You just have to choose the right glass. That's a little big. So really, this is what the research shows. And I know this really hits a nerve with a lot of people because we have been raised in a culture now where meat and potatoes is basically the staple of how we live. And a lot of people will say right away, well, how am I going to live without animal products, without meat products, without dairy, how am I going to get enough protein? If you actually compare 100 calories of broccoli to 100 calories of a piece of beef, which one do you think has more protein in it? The broccoli does. You know, so intuitively, a lot of people will think, no, it's got to be the steak because that's all protein, but it's actually 29 or 30% fat, and the fats that you're getting in there are very unhealthy. So you can live a completely healthy diet and be completely animal product free. And actually, that's one of the things that we're teaching a lot of our patients. So these are the risk factors: overconsumption of calories. Everybody underestimates the amount of calories that they eat by at least 40%, studies have shown. Obesity is a significant risk factor for all of the chronic diseases and cancers. You can see the stats there on how many cancers occur in men and women. And there's a significant association between weight problems and all of the cancers as listed here, in addition to all of the chronic diseases. And if you want any of these slides, well, you guys have the slides, so we can give you the slides. You don't have to worry about taking notes.
They're actually posted out on our shared drive.
Okay, cool. Sugar and processed foods are a major problem. Does anybody know in a 16-ounce bottle of regular soda how many teaspoons of sugar?
A lot.
It is a lot. It's about 11.
Wow.
So if you're drinking water there, right? If you
Yes,
think
it's
about
water.
this, would you take 10 or 11 teaspoons of sugar, put it in that bottle, and drink that up? But people do in the form of soda, and that is, you know, a lot of added calories, a lot of wasted calories. So these are a lot of the problems. And I'm going to, you know, quickly go through some of the slides, but if you want me to slow down, just let me know. Any refined products, any white sugar, white flour, those are the things that we try to get people to avoid, and in substitution, eat things that are more natural, like whole grains. And there are so many foods that you can eat to stay healthy, but this is really a big part of it, to make sure that everybody's still awake. So saturated fats, anything that's found in animal products and dairy products, meat, oils, butters, salad dressings, cookies and cakes, all associated with chronic illness and cancer. There's study after study that really shows that this is true and factual. So really, the good news is, if you really want to, if your goal for being in this program, if your goal is to be healthy, not necessarily just to lose weight, your goal really should be to be healthy, to be fit as you get older, to be able to do all the things that you want to do, you have to figure out what type of a lifestyle you really need to be on. And really, the number one priority every day should be your health. Because if you think about it, if your health declines, everything else declines. You can't come to work, you can't take care of your families, so health really needs to be the number one priority. So again, the studies really show that when you eat more fresh vegetables, fruit, things that are not processed, it really gives you all of the nutrients that you need to stay healthy. If you haven't done any diving, this is a really cool thing to have on your bucket list. Now, does anybody take vitamins? Nobody takes vitamins? Yeah, most people do. How do you know what you're supposed to take? It's usually the response that I get. Nobody really knows. Because typically, you know, as physicians, we have not been measuring these things. Like, you know, we measure so many other things. I'm not sure why we don't use tests to measure vitamin levels, but there actually is a test that's called SpectraCell. It measures your blood levels of all of your vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. And it is a test that you can use if you're concerned about being vitamin deficient in any one area. The important thing is that in most cases, when you are on a healthy diet, you usually don't need extra vitamins. And if you really eat more of a plant-based nutrition program, you generally don't need to take any vitamins. But if you want to take supplements, that's fine, and you should really figure out what it is that you need to take by doing a blood test. So again, this is a little redundant, but there were 156 studies that were reviewed to see if there really is an association between what we eat and what happens to us. And of those 156, 128 were statistically significant, and that basically supports everything that I've mentioned so far. Okay. Essential fatty acids, fats need to be part of your diet. If you're not getting healthy fats into your diet, it's very hard to keep all of the cells in your body and especially your brain healthy. So you want to eat healthy fats that are found in avocados and nuts and vegetables because you do get a lot of healthy fats and proteins there. You can take flaxseed, you can use fish or fish oils to get the healthy fats that you need. And omega-3 fatty acids are known to protect the heart and the brain. So oftentimes with our lifestyle programs, we think about everything from the neck down. You have to remember from the neck up, what do you do to keep your brain healthy? You have to exercise, you have to keep your brain healthy by learning new things on a regular basis and by eating the proper amounts of healthy fats. Omega-6 fatty acids, if you have too many omega-6 fatty acids, that can actually be harmful. Most of those things come from what's listed here, oils, meats, and processed foods. So again, you can see how just simply changing your diet gets rid of the things that are more harmful. Then there is a whole list of other things like minerals like selenium, vitamin B12, which actually is one of the supplements that you should be taking if you're eating more of a vegetarian diet. You should be supplementing with vitamin B12 because you have to get that in the diet, in your diet. Anybody know these people?
Adam's family.
This is interesting. When you look at lifestyle, one of the research studies show consistently that when you eat less calories overall, you actually live longer. So it is one of the reasons that we say, for the most part, if you're eating a vegetarian diet, you really don't have to count your calories, but you don't want to overdo it also because the more calories you eat, the more difficult it is for your body to process them. One of the theories on aging is that food products that we eat cause a lot of inflammation in your body, and that's actually what's supposed to cause the aging process to be sped up. So you have to be careful that you're not eating too many things that would cause inflammation in your body, and a lot of animal products do exactly that. Selenium is a mineral that's supposed to have anti-cancer properties, especially in relation to prostate and colon cancer. Chlorophyll is what plants use to take the energy from the sun and convert it into substances that protect the plants. If you all know what antioxidants are, people will oftentimes take vitamins and antioxidants, vitamin E, vitamin C, to help protect them from the aging process. Well, plants naturally contain antioxidants, and that's one of the reasons that they don't get diseases. So when you eat the plants, you get the antioxidants, and it keeps you healthy overall. These are my two daughters. These are protective vitamins, vitamin B12, folic acid, vitamin D. Very important to get vitamin D in your diet. If you don't get any sun exposure, then you probably want to take some supplements. And I mentioned the SpectraCell test before. And these are other antioxidants. Now, the bottom bullet point there says eat the rainbow. Does anybody know what that really means? When you're eating foods that have lots of color. Why do you want to really eat foods that have lots of color? Because they contain all the antioxidants, all the vitamins, all the minerals. So when you look down at your plate of food, if it looks gray like a lot of plates do look with the standard American diet, you really need to start adding in some vegetables, some fruits, things that have lots of colors, because that's how you get your vitamins and minerals. So you want to eat the rainbow, as it says. So when we look at the different ways of staying healthy, and if you wanted to develop an approach to just avoiding not only cancers, but all of the chronic illnesses and just staying healthy as you get older, this is a plan. You want to be sure that you get an adequate number of calories, but not too many. So if part of your health plan is to lose some weight, if you decrease your calories by about 500 per day, you should lose about a pound a week, just as a rule of thumb. The recommendation usually is about 5 to 9 servings of fruits and vegetables per day. High fiber foods, because that obviously helps to keep your GI tract healthy, but it also helps to lower your cholesterol. It's really interesting. We just finished this program at Lee called CHIP. It's the Complete Health Improvement Program. It's a plant-based nutrition program combined with an exercise program. And we had a number of people that at the beginning of the program had cholesterol levels high enough that we probably should have put them on medication, but we gave them 12 weeks on a diet, and we had people go from like the 220, 230 range on their total cholesterol down to like 130 or 140 in just like less than 12 weeks. Some people actually did that in 8 and 9 weeks. So they avoided medications, they avoided the side effects of medications, the expensive medications, by just basically changing what they ate every day. And then on the other side, no refined sugars, no refined flours, low in saturated fats, and no red meats. I mean, this sounds kind of extreme, but if you're really concerned about being healthy, try it for 3 months. 3 months is really not a long period of time. See how you feel. We have 80 people in our CHIP program now, and people that have had chronic musculoskeletal problems got better, people with allergies, with different types of arthritis got better. We had one lady in the program that had severe symptoms from multiple sclerosis that is on no medication at this point. We had one lady in the first program that was on 4 shots of insulin a day, and now she's down to 1, and she's lost about 25 pounds. So it really is amazing to see what can happen in a short period of time. And then when you actually start to feel those positive gains, you'll just go on, and this will become a way of life for you. This won't be a difficult process anymore. So we're almost done. This is, I think, an optimal diet for anyone, whether you're concerned about risks of cancers, chronic disease, or anything else. You know, just having the right balance of fatty acids. Flaxseed is helpful to get the omega-3 fatty acids, supplementing with selenium if you need it based on your blood tests, vitamin B12 if you eat more vegetables, and then on the other side, obviously eating a lot of greens because it gives you all of those antioxidants that we talked about. So in summary, eating living foods really contributes to your body being much healthier. Whole foods, foods that come out of the ground, foods that are not processed, foods that generally don't have a label, which is really important. I mean, you don't need to look at a label on a food that's been grown and picked from the ground, right? The only thing that actually that's important in that when you actually buy some fruits and some vegetables, sometimes they do have a little label on them with numbers on them. Does anybody know what that means? Usually people don't. When you look at, and a lot of people will say, well, when we start talking about eating more fruits and vegetables, when should I buy organic? When should I be concerned about genetically modified foods? When you look at the little stickers, they either have 5 numbers or 4 numbers. If it has 5 numbers and it starts with a 9, that means that it's organic. If it has 5 numbers and starts with an 8, it means that it's been genetically modified. Anything that's been modified by man is probably not as healthy as the original product. So you want to stay away from the 8s, and you want to stay away from the 4s. There's another code that just has 4 digits and it starts with a 4. Those are conventionally grown. So the distinction is, do you want to have fruits and vegetables that were grown with pesticides, or do you want to have the ones that are grown organically? The organic ones are healthier. So do you need to buy organic bananas, oranges, pineapples? Is that necessary? It's not, because the pesticide can't get through that thick skin. So the distinction is, I want to buy organic when it has a thin skin. You know, any leafy greens obviously have a very thin skin, so you want to buy those things organic. You don't need to buy anything organic that has a thick skin. You want to buy organic strawberries and grapes and things like that because they're healthier with less pesticides. Okay. So eating foods that are grown naturally, avoiding the chemical experiments. Has anybody ever picked up a box or a bag of a food product and you read the label and the label is this long and it has a bunch of things written on there that you have no clue what that is? Because usually there's so many chemicals in there that you can't figure out if it's a food product or it's a chemical experiment. So those things go back on the shelf. Try to get things that are natural so that you can obviously live a strong, vibrant life. So stay strong, the weekend is coming. Any questions? I know I zipped through a lot of that stuff, and really this is really, really important. So if your goal for your life is to stay healthy, just think about it. You know, you can make up your own mind and live your life the way you want to, but be open-minded enough to look at the research, because the research is tremendously overwhelming. And the goal really should be to stay fit, to stay functional, and to stay healthy. So, any questions?
long have you been on this type of?
For about 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah, and I noticed a big difference. Yeah, and actually what happened was, last year I started eating the way my wife used to eat, where she was like a total carnivore, and I felt lousy, so I converted her back to my way instead of her converting me to her way. And really, that is the one thing that people say, that they feel so much better, they sleep better, they have more energy, they don't need that afternoon coffee or soda to perk them up. So really the goal is, and obviously we see the same medical problems in our organization that you all see. And the goal is to figure out what kind of a lifestyle do I really need to live to stay healthy. So, and for people that are naysayers, just read the research, see what you think about that objectively, and then do a 3-month study and get your own subjective evidence and see what happens.
Could you give us an idea of like what you eat on a daily basis? I mean,
Yeah.
to me, it's a little overwhelming because you're telling me,
Right.
everything's I eat.
Exactly, and it is. And that is actually one of the reasons why Sarah works with us, and that we have nutritionists that work with us, because you need to find out what you do with all of the other foods that are in the world, and how do you cook them, how do you shop for them and such. So in the morning, generally, it's some type of a grain cereal or oatmeal with lots of fruits. The more berries you put in your diet, the better for your brain. The studies show that people that eat lots of berries, blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, whatever, strawberries, have less risk of Alzheimer's disease. And Alzheimer's is really going to be epidemic over the next 50 years. So if you want to protect your brain, that's one good way to start it. You can eat other things that you make yourself. You can make grain waffles and pancakes and things like that. As long as they don't have the refined flours and sugar in them, they're actually healthy. For lunch or for dinner, usually a big salad, lots of vegetables. Some people like tofu. I don't really particularly care for it myself, but there are lots of different ways to make it. We've actually made it in the CHIP program, and people thought that it was pieces of chicken. So if you learn how to cook in a different way, there are lots of other things that you can eat. Do you know what quinoa is? There's lots of different recipes for that. So we have a number of recipe books that we recommend to people so that they can actually start to change their lifestyle. And you can't do it all at once. That's the other message. You have to take one small change at a time. You're going to just decide today that, if I drink 5 Cokes today, I'm going to drink 4, and I'm going to wean off of the bad things, and I'm going to introduce one healthy thing into my diet today. I'm going to have, 2 or 3 servings of vegetable today, and I'm going to progress as time goes on. It's the same thing when we recommend people get on an exercise program. You can't go from doing nothing to doing an hour a day, because typically people will get hurt and they'll get demotivated and such. So small changes at a time, really over time, will make a big difference. Okay? Any other questions? All right, well, then I'm going to turn it over to Sarah. She's going to tell you how to deal with your stress and your time management. Thanks for your attention. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Sell. So we're in the challenge already, correct?
Yes.
Okay, everyone's starting to establish some healthy lifestyle behaviors? No? That's why we check back in with you. We come back with another presentation for you to kind of get feed with your goals that we talked about in our first presentation. But this one I'm going to do on today is work-life balance. I think it will apply to everyone in the room. So the agenda that I'm going to go over is life balance, time management, stress, talk about a little bit of a challenge, and then sum it up for you. Sound good?
Yes.
And that's like Dr. Sal said, throughout this time, if you have discussion that you want to bring up, please do so, because the person next to you might have a question also. Brought with me today some spicy pumpkin hummus. If you haven't tried it, I invite you to try it. I brought some crackers and some Cheetos that taste like carrots. So is this a fruit or a vegetable? Don't think too hard, just yell out whatever you think.
Vegetable.
Anybody?
Better be quiet.
It's a fruit. It's actually a fruit.
It's a trick question.
All right. So we're going to get into a balance check here. So I want you to actually ask yourself these questions as we go through them. Are you happy and satisfied with your work and personal life? Which tips the scales the most? And more importantly, when one tips, do you have a solution for it? Do you have a support system? Whether it's at work or home, somebody that you can turn to? And why does one tip more than the other? So with those questions, I'm going to give you a few tips. 5 tips for balance. You want to build downtime into your schedule. And when we mention the word downtime, we think automatically the couch. Yes, something that we're just going to sit and do. So maybe if we start to think about planning activities that help you recharge, energize you, get you started on those goals that we're trying to establish, and those healthy behaviors. Drop activities that sap your time and energy. Drop the activities that sap your time and energy. Take stock of the activities that don't enhance your career or personal life and minimize the time spent on them. Social media. Have you ever sat in front of your computer and just wasted a whole hour? And you get up from there and you think about the million things that you could have done, should have done, would have done had you not spent that hour. If that is going to be your downtime and that is going to recharge you and re-energize you, then do it. But rethink your errands also, because sometimes we're running all over town, picking up one thing and then the other. And this also, if you start to make a list of your different errands that you're going to make, plan ahead. Planning is just about in everything that we talk about for success. Get moving. Physical activity boosts your energy level and ability to concentrate. Does everyone agree with that statement? Have we tried it? Once you get out, take a walk. Sometimes it clears your mind. You come back with a different attitude, a different thought. And with the weather getting nicer, it's a perfect opportunity for us to get outside and walk 5, 10, 15 minutes. Before you know it, you'll start scheduling a little bit more time. Remember that a little relaxation goes a long way. Take 10 to 15 minutes a day to do something that will recharge your batteries. Everyone in here, it may be something different for everyone, right? Time management. This is a very important part. How many hours are in a day?
No.
Anybody? 24. How many minutes in an hour?
60.
Okay, think quick. How many minutes in a day? On average, a lot of the things that you read is to move 30 minutes most days of the week. Have you heard that before? Try to move at least 30 minutes a day. That's one example that I've given. But what if you don't have 30 minutes? Would 10 minutes work? 5, 15? Let's get back to how many minutes are in a day. 1,440 minutes a day. Can you manage to start to move a little bit more for your health and your well-being? Kind of puts it into perspective when we say I don't have time to, correct? And we're going to learn to prioritize. These may not be the 3 things that you're trying to work on, but most people have work time, personal time, and family time to try to balance. So how do you prioritize those things? Maybe one way is to record all of your activities. I talked about this in my first presentation with you, the whole journaling part. A lot of things, once you see them in writing, things start to make sense to you, plus they start to happen because they're in writing. And sometimes to show that writing to someone also holds you accountable to it. So write down all your multiple demands, competing priorities, tasks, and activities for the day or the week. Determine your primary goals. Start to list your goals in order of your primary, in order of prioritizing them. Consider the 80-20. Determine which 20% of activities will yield 80% of results, bringing you nearer to those goals. Have we all established some type of goals throughout this challenge? Have you sat down and really thought about the 90-day challenge that you're doing and the 30-day goal or the weekly goal? If you have trouble with that, I've given you guys, most of you guys, my card. If you'd like my information, I'll give you my card again and you can email me.